welcome back to another video. I want to talk quickly about three kind of non-musical skills that are really important to have in the music world. I think they're important outside the music world as well, but I live in the music world, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So skill number one is something that a lot of people kind of don't think about, but they do subconsciously. Some people don't do it all because, I don't know, maybe they're really confident or something. But you need to be able to parse a situation very quickly and decide in which way you're going to act. A lot of us have the way that we act around friends. Maybe we use a lot of cuss words. We talk about certain subjects, whatever that is. And that's fine. That's totally appropriate for that situation. But sometimes, maybe you're in front of an audience. Maybe you're in front of the people that are paying you to play. You need to not act that way. And you need to be able to change that behavior at the flip of a switch instantly. This is a really important skill to have. You'll notice that in not one of my hundreds of videos on YouTube in the last 15 years, yes, my channel is 15 years old, I don't use a single cuss word the entire time. And if you do find one, let me know, because I swear I haven't done it ever. But when I'm around friends, all bets are off. Of course I'm going to use that kind of language because that's just how I am. But in certain situations like this, when I'm teaching, when I'm in professional situations, I'm not going to do that. I can instantly turn off that kind of behavior. And I think this is a really important skill to have. I definitely worked with people and seen people who seem to not have the skill, or like I said, maybe they're just really confident and they just maybe say things that they shouldn't. They don't have the filter, they don't have the ability to turn it off. And I'm not going to say it's the worst thing on the planet, but it's good to be able to just be very easy to work with, not have those little moments where people are like, ooh, should I hire this person again, when they drop an F-bomb in front of a bunch of guests that are paying for this party or whatever. You want to be cool, and sometimes it's turning off those kinds of things, those kinds of behaviors. That's a really good skill to have, and like I said, to be able to judge the situation and be like, oh, okay, it's actually okay to behave like that here. And then right now, somebody walked in, I need to not behave like that. Number two on these skills is the skill to use a calendar. I did not use any kind of calendar or planner for years, like all through undergrad. And 90% of the time, that was totally fine. I'd memorize my class schedule, and I would just do that every day. There's not really any changes. You know, every once in a while there's a concert, but you get reminded like 10 times, oh yeah, there's a concert Thursday, 7, I need to show up at 6:30, okay, got it. It's in the brain. But it doesn't always work. There's the, at least famous to me, of course, example. I missed the final for a class that I was in because I just totally spaced it. I'm sure I got an email. I'm sure it was in the syllabus. It was probably in 10 different places. And I remember showing up to the music building and looking in the class and being like, I recognize everybody in there. Strange. And I went and practiced. And people came out and they're like, hey, why were you there? And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, that was the final for a class I was in. And I had to end up taking that class again. Yeah, don't follow that example. Use a calendar. It's really simple. I use Google Calendar. You can use whatever you want. There's tons of different examples, of course. But I just put in time, exactly what it is. Sometimes I need to put in a location. Of course, now that I'm in the real world and I'm gigging, I have to put down addresses, you know, a little more detail than the usual kind of class schedule. But it's so important that I have everything in my calendar, because every day I go and check my calendar. I'm like, oh, I have a lesson today. I need to be home for that, or I need to drive to this. It's so awfully important to have a calendar, and the earlier you start using that, kind of the better. Even if it's just really obvious stuff, you have the same classes every day, whatever it is, it's really good to have it in your calendar. And I like to put stuff far in advance. I'll put in like, oh, I need to go buy a tux tail set, like a different tux jacket for an upcoming gig. I'm going to put that a week in advance, so I'm not coming up to the gig and going, oh, I didn't get that because it wasn't in my calendar. That brings me up to my last point, which is being able to parse details. So a lot of times This happens both in college land and in the real world. You'll get an email or maybe a syllabus, kind of either one of those things, and it tells you everything you need to know. And it's really easy. I've found this so many times to just kind of glance at the email and be like, okay, I get it. It's at this time at this place. Cool. And then you show up and you're in the wrong clothes. You brought the wrong horn. You didn't bring a stand light. Or maybe you need in-ear monitors for this gig. Or maybe it's for a class and you're like, oh, there's an extra credit thing that was at the bottom of the syllabus. I didn't even look at that. And you end up failing the class because you didn't read the entire thing. You need to be able to parse every detail. I brought up the Tux Tales thing because I have an upcoming gig where I have looked at all the emails, I have everything planned out, how I'm driving there, all this kind of stuff. And then I looked at the emails again and I was like, oh, there's different dress for the different concerts, and for the formal evening concerts, I need tails. I don't have Tux Tales, so I have to go out and buy them before this gig. And if I had not made the effort to look at the email again and be like, oh, I would have totally missed that, and I would have showed up with the wrong stuff and made a fool out of myself. And I have done that before. I really don't recommend it. So 3 things today: being able to look at a situation and change how you behave, using a calendar, and parsing every single detail of a class or a gig. Very important things that are not talked about really in music school or in high school or whatever, and will really help you a lot in the real world, whether it's music or not. That's all I got. Bye-bye.